Unfortunately, we don't get to talk about anything as maybe lighthearted today. And to help us kind of parse out what's happening in Minneapolis, we're joined by John Parker. He is a Minneapolis radio host on AM 950 KTNF, a Minneapolis resident as well. And so, good morning, John. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So what do we know so far? I mean, we know what happened yesterday. You can refresh people's mind on that. Have there been any developments overnight?
Right. So yesterday, an ICE agent murdered Rene Nicole Good, a 37-year-old mother and Minneapolis resident, near her home, actually. And the incident took place just a few blocks away from the George Floyd Square Memorial. As of 7 a.m. this morning, we don't know yet who the identity is of the agent who killed her. Neither do we know his status, whether he's on leave, paid administrative leave, or if he's been let go, fired from ICE. We're actually kind of don't know where he is, if he's currently in the state or not. We do know that the FBI is continuing their investigation, as is the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. And notably, that bureau, along with our Attorney General, Keith Ellison, they were the ones that successfully investigated and got a conviction of Derek Chauvin, the officer who murdered George Floyd. So some folks are feeling optimistic that, we are a state, Minnesota, that has investigated, has used video to prosecute effectively, to hold officers accountable. So I know we are less than 24 hours into that, but we'll see what happens with their investigation. Also, the Hennepin County attorney, Mary Moriarty, she is also pushing for a local investigation at the county level as well. So we know that there are at least two investigations, possibly a third, that are going to get started. May I share a little bit about Renee, though, because I think it's important
please,
to
please.
remember
Because
her.
there have been conflicting reports if Renee was a citizen, if she wasn't. Either way, inexcusable the action of this ICE thug. But yes, please share with us.
So she was a U.S. citizen. She was a 37-year-old mother of three. She graduated actually from Old Dominion University in Virginia with a degree in English. So she was a poet. She actually won an undergraduate prize from the Academy of American Poets for her poetry. She had just moved to Minneapolis. On Instagram, she described herself as a poet and writer and wife and mom. She was originally from Colorado Springs, where she hosted a podcast with her second husband. They had a son together, and he tragically passed away in 2023. That son is now only 6 years old. Yesterday was her older sister's birthday, and she was a member of the LGBTQ community living in Minneapolis, having just moved here with her wife. And so she actually lived nearby where she lost her life. And at the vigils last night, a lot of people didn't even realize they were walking past her home when they were going to honor and remember her. So that's just a little bit of what we know about Nicole as of this morning.
Well, we appreciate that background, and we want to get a feeling for what's happening in Minneapolis, simply because over the past few years, and you mentioned the George Floyd Memorial, this took place just a few blocks away. We watched the murder of George Floyd. We watched what happened with the murder of Melissa Hortman and her husband. So we want to get a feel for what's happening in Minneapolis from you. But before that, we got to hear this audio, I think, because the recollection of our Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and the recollection and what Jacob Frey, mayor of Minneapolis, had to say yesterday are very striking. So can we start out with cut 4 and then let's just go right into cut 5, Parker?
We collectively are going to do everything possible to get to the bottom of this, to get justice, and to make sure that there is an investigation that is conducted in full. But what we do know is that a 37-year-old woman is dead and that she was shot by ICE. They are already trying to spin this as an action of self-defense. Having seen the video of myself, I want to tell everybody directly, that is bull. There's little I can say, again, that'll make this situation better, but I do have a message for our community. for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the out of Minneapolis.
It was an act of domestic terrorism. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased.
They went very quickly, John, and we're joined by John Parker, radio host on AM 950 KTNF in Minneapolis. Boy, they jumped on this to try to create that domestic terrorist narrative in less than an hour. It bothers me, and it's got to infuriate the people of Minnesota. But I think it's starting to get to spread across where we are able to see the video. We saw the George Floyd video. We saw the murder of Rene Nicole Good. We saw the January 6th video, and yet the administration is still trying to tell us, no, you don't know what you're looking at. What's the vibe on that particular move that they're trying to do, the gaslighting of not only the country, but of Minneapolis in particular on another case?
So just this week, DHS deployed 2,000 agents to the city in what they're calling the largest current deployment of ICE agents in the country. And right now, I mean, literally as we're on the air, there is a protest headed to the Bishop Henry Whipple Federal Building, which is where ICE is headquartered and where they do their hearings. And so that is happening right now. We're trying to keep tabs on what's going to happen there. There is another demonstration that is planned for this evening at Lake Street and Chicago Avenue. And we've been getting reports that there are other protests that are going to be happening throughout the Twin Cities. And I imagine that they're going to continue to ramp up because we know how to protest here in the Twin Cities. And a lot of people have been seeing the video and just watching local news reports this morning as people were gathering for this morning's march. It is a very wide, the demographics of the folks that are there are very wide and various. And I think that's speaking and telling to how Minnesotans are thinking about this right now, that they don't want ICE to be here. And Minneapolis public schools actually are closed because while we were focused yesterday on ICE murdering this 37-year-old mother, they were also on Roosevelt High School campus where they were attacking people. They were shoving staff to the ground. They were chasing after kids. There was a safety issue. We had kids hiding out and on lockdown in a library. And so it really does feel like the violence is the point of what they're doing. And Minneapolis, if you will, Twin Cities residents, Minnesotans are not going to put up with this. And I think that we will see as much organized action as we saw in Chicago last summer when the National Guard was deployed to your city, Brian.
Are they are they hoping that all Minnesotans do come out and do these rallies, because then they can cut the footage and it feeds into, this is why we're here, because Minneapolis is a lawless city. Look at all these people on the streets, even though the protests will probably, hopefully, be nonviolent and legal. And that is our right to protest the government, which I'm 100% behind. But it's like a double-edged sword where you go, yes, we need to be out and protest, knowing that, they're going to use this against us to gin up their cause and do more gaslighting.
I think that as we've seen their response to the video, which any rational person that looks at that says that she was not a domestic terrorist. She was not trying to run these agents down. I think they're going to do that regardless. This is a very sophisticated propaganda machine where and actually it's interesting with this video, they're not even trying to splice it and edit it in a way that favors their narrative. They're literally just telling you, don't believe what you're seeing.
Right.
And that is so, I mean, it's next level for them. I think that they're very good at, either not showing the video or videos and just letting their talking heads spin it the way that they want to spin it, or they edit things very selectively, Brian, to what you're saying. Yeah. And I think now it's to a level of they're just going to lie brazenly, and they don't care, and they're going to do it anyway. And so I don't think that should stop us from
Oh no, I don't. I
collectively getting
agree.
out
I
there.
don't think
No,
it should stop
agreed.
you either.
But the lying has been the pattern of basically trying to tell us what we saw is not reality, right? And it happened in Chicago with the Midway Blitz. You alluded to that. It happened even in Washington D.C. with the gentleman who chucked a Subway sandwich at an ICE agent, and all charges ended up being dropped against those individuals because what we were seeing was the truth, and there were actually no charges. In a city like Minneapolis, I kind of want your take on this, John, where, the law enforcement has been an issue. It's been at the crux of all of these protests. Does something like this further erode the communities, the states, the citizens' trust in law enforcement throughout Minneapolis?
I will say that after George Floyd's murder, the Department of Justice did a pretty top-down investigation of the Minneapolis Police Department. And as part of that, there was and I'm blanking on the very technical title of it, but there was an
Sure.
agreement between the Minneapolis Police Department and the DOJ of reforms that were going to happen and had to happen per this agreement that they settled with the DOJ. The minute that the Trump administration came in there, they nixed that. They cut it up. They said, nope, we're not going to do this anymore. The city of Minneapolis and the leadership of MPD, to their credit, said that they were going to continue to abide by the terms of that agreement, even though it was no longer going to be enforced by the Trump administration. I will also say that while the Minneapolis police chief yesterday, Brian O'Hara, was pretty forceful in his comments towards reality, which is what we all saw yesterday, the Minneapolis Police Union was siding with the Trump administration. And the police union has been, and I find this, I always find myself in this weird, bizarre situation where, as a former union person, I
Yeah.
support
John-
unions, but that union has been very pushing back against the situation.
John, as a radio guy, you know we're up against the clock, but
Right,
thank
yes.
you so much for joining us. John Parker, Minneapolis radio host on AM 950 KTNF. We'll talk again, John. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me.